Let me ask you something, and I need you to really sit with this question before you answer it. Think about the last time you were genuinely excited about something, a dream, a plan, a relationship, a new beginning. Think about that electric feeling in your chest when the idea first arrived. That electricity, that hope, that pure and untouched version of your vision. Now ask yourself, how long did it take before you told someone about it? How long before you pulled out your phone, opened the conversation, and started sharing every detail? How long before you laid out your dreams on the table for someone else to touch, to judge, to react to? If you are being honest with yourself, the answer is probably not very long at all. And here is where I need you to stop and pay attention. Because what I am about to tell you is something nobody warned you about when you were growing up. Nobody sat you down and said, listen, some of the most dangerous things you will ever do to your future will happen in a conversation. Nobody told you that the words you speak about your own life, the things you reveal before the time is right, the emotions and struggles you hand over to the wrong people, these things have the power to quietly destroy what God is trying to build inside of you. There are three things in your life right now that you must protect. Not because you are ashamed, not because you are hiding, but because some things are too sacred, too powerful, and too fragile to be handed to people who were never given the authority to carry them. Some things must be kept private, not forever, but until they are strong enough, established enough, and real enough to survive the weight of other people's opinions. And today, we are going to talk about all three. But before we do, I want you to understand something foundational. Privacy is not the same as secrecy. Secrecy is rooted in shame. Privacy is rooted in wisdom. When you keep something private, you are not hiding something ugly. You are protecting something beautiful. You are being a good steward of what has been entrusted to you. You are saying to God, to the universe, to your own soul, I know what this is worth, and I refuse to let it be cheapened before it has had the chance to become everything it is supposed to be. The people who win in life, not just financially, not just professionally, but deeply, wholly, truly win, they have mastered this art. They have learned to be selective. They have learned to be intentional. They have learned that not every breakthrough deserves an audience, and not every battle deserves a witness. And the sooner you learn this, the faster your life will begin to transform in ways you cannot even imagine right now. So let us begin. The first thing you must keep private is your next move. I want you to think about a lion for a moment. When a lion is about to hunt, it does not roar. It does not announce itself. It does not gather the other animals and say, I want you to know that I am planning to run in that direction and catch that gazelle. No. The lion goes silent. The lion crouches low. The lion becomes still. And in that stillness, in that quiet and focused preparation, the hunt becomes possible. The moment the lion roars before it moves, the prey scatters. The opportunity disappears. The energy that should have powered the chase has already been released into the air for nothing. You are the lion, and your dreams are the hunt. When you tell people your plans before they are in motion, something deeply psychological happens. And this is not just spiritual wisdom, this is science. There is research that shows that when you verbally announce a goal to other people, your brain registers the social acknowledgement you receive as a partial completion of that goal. The dopamine you get from saying, I'm going to start a business, and having people respond with, Oh, wow, that's amazing. Is the same kind of dopamine your brain is supposed to save for when you actually build the business. You have spent the reward before you did the work. And because the brain has already tasted the satisfaction, your motivation to actually follow through quietly begins to deflate. You talked your way out of your own dream, and you did not even notice it was happening. But the psychological cost is just one part of it. The other part is the energy cost. There is a reason why every great builder, every great visionary, every person who has ever created something remarkable from nothing has had a season of silence, a season where they disappeared, where they went quiet on social media, stopped discussing their plans at family dinners, stopped explaining themselves to people who asked, "So, what are you doing with your life these days?" There is a reason for that silence. It is not because they were ashamed. It is because they understood that vision, in its early stages, is like a seed that has just been planted in the ground. It needs darkness to germinate. It needs to be covered. It needs to be left alone. The moment you dig it up to show people before it has had a chance to take root, you damage the very process that was going to make it grow. Your next move, whether it is a career change, a new business, a decision to go back to school, a plan to leave a situation that is no longer serving you, a goal to rebuild your finances, your next move does not need a committee. It does not need a panel discussion. It does not need the approval of your cousins, your coworkers, your old friends, or the followers on your social media page. Your next move needs your focus. Your next move needs your energy. Your next move needs your prayers, your preparation, and your patience, not your announcement. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. You are thinking, but I share because I need accountability. I share because talking about it keeps me motivated. And to that I say, there is a difference between a trusted accountability partner and broadcasting your plans to the world. There is a difference between sharing a goal with one person who genuinely has your best interests at heart and loves you enough to hold you to it, and sharing it with 15 people in a group chat who will say, "Go for it today and forget about it by tomorrow." Accountability is intimate. Accountability is intentional. What most people do is not accountability. It is validation seeking. And validation is a drug that will keep you talking about your dreams forever without ever building them. The most powerful thing you can do today is make a decision in your heart, write it down in your journal, commit it to God in prayer, and then go to work in silence. Let the results be your announcement. Let the fruit be your testimony. Let what people see when they look at your life 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, be the only speech you need to give. Because the truth is, not everyone who smiles at your dreams is cheering for them. Some people smile at your plans with their mouth while their heart is quietly hoping you will fail, so they do not have to confront the fact that they gave up on their own. This is not me telling you that everyone in your life is your enemy. This is me telling you that not everyone in your life has been prepared to be a safe place for your most vulnerable hopes and aspirations. And wisdom means knowing the difference. Wisdom means protecting yourself not out of fear, but out of love. Love for the dream, love for the process, love for the version of you that is about to emerge on the other side of this season of quiet, focused, disciplined work. Go silent. Go to work. Let God do what only He can do when you stop filling the room with noise and start filling your days with action. The second thing you must keep private is your pain. Now, before you misunderstand me, let me be very clear about what I am not saying. I am not saying suppress your emotions. I am not saying pretend everything is fine when it is not. I am not saying you should smile through suffering and perform happiness for the comfort of other people. That is not strength. That is a wound pretending to be a wall. And walls do not heal anything. They just keep the bleeding hidden. What I am saying is this: be very, very careful who you give your pain to. Because not everyone who asks, "Are you okay?" is equipped to carry the honest answer. Not everyone who says, "You can tell me anything," has the emotional capacity, the wisdom, or the genuine love required to handle the most broken parts of you with care. Some people ask because they are genuinely concerned. Some people ask because they are curious. Some people ask because your pain makes them feel better about their own. And some people ask because they are collecting information about your weakness, about your vulnerability, about the cracks in your armor that they will one day use against you or share with others in a conversation you were never supposed to be part of. I know that sounds hard. I know it might even feel unfair. But if you look back honestly at some of the most painful chapters of your life, you will find a moment, maybe not immediately, maybe months or years later, where you will recognize that you gave your pain to someone who was not ready to receive it. And instead of being healed by that vulnerability, you were hurt further. Your pain was minimized. It was judged. It was gossiped about. It was twisted into something it was not. It was used as a reason to see you as less than. And what was supposed to be a moment of connection became another wound on top of the wound. Here is what the strongest, most resilient people understand about pain: it is sacred. Your suffering is part of your story, and your story is part of your purpose. The things that broke you, the nights that nearly destroyed you, the moments when you looked in the mirror and did not recognize the person staring back, those are not footnotes. Those are chapters. And chapters are written to be read in the right order, at the right time, by the right audience. There will come a day when your pain becomes your platform. There will come a day when the very thing that almost killed you becomes the thing that saves someone else's life. When your testimony walks into a room and grabs someone by the heart and says, "You are not alone. I was there too, and I made it out." That day is coming. But it will only come if you protect your pain long enough to let it transform into something greater than itself. If you hand it over to everyone who asks for it before that transformation is complete, you risk having it defined by someone else's limited understanding before you have had the chance to understand it yourself. This does not mean you suffer alone. This does not mean you carry everything in silence until you collapse. God did not design you for that. You need community. You need people who love you. You need spaces where you can be honest and real and fully human without performing strength you do not have. But that community should be small. It should be carefully chosen. It should be made up of people who have demonstrated consistently over time that they can be trusted with what is most precious to you. Not people who are simply available, not people who simply want to know. Availability is not the same as trustworthiness. And wanting to know is not the same as being able to help. Be selective with your pain, not because you are weak, but because you are wise. Take your deepest wounds to God first. Sit with them in prayer. Let Him speak into them before anyone else does. Because the word of God over your pain is infinitely more powerful than the opinion of any human being on this earth. He knows not just what happened to you, but why. He knows not just the chapter you are in, but the ending he has already written. And when you give him your pain first, when you lay it at his feet before you carry it to anyone else, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see it differently. You begin to understand it differently. You begin to find in it a grace that the world on its own could never give you. And then, from that place of grace, from that place of healing that has already begun, you can choose with wisdom and intentionality who else deserves the sacred honor of walking through your pain with you. And you will choose better, and you will be hurt less, and you will heal faster, and you will emerge from the fire not just unburned but shining. The third thing you must keep private is your progress. This one surprises people the most because everything in the culture today tells you the opposite. Document everything. Share your journey. Post the transformation. Let people watch you grow. And I am not telling you that sharing your growth is always wrong. There is a time and a place for testimony, and testimony is powerful. But there is a stage of growth, a particular season in the journey where sharing your progress too early, too loudly, and with too many people can actually stall the very progress you are trying to celebrate. Let me explain it this way. You know the feeling of being at the beginning of something. You are 6 weeks into your workout routine. You have lost a few kilograms. Your clothes are starting to fit differently. You are eating better, sleeping better, feeling better. You are not where you are going yet, not even close, but you are finally moving. You are finally building momentum. And momentum in its early stages is one of the most fragile things in the human experience. At this point, if you post your progress online, what happens? Some people celebrate with you, and those moments feel wonderful. But then someone comments something that sounds like encouragement but feels slightly like comparison. Someone else does not respond at all, and you wonder why. Someone messages you privately with unsolicited advice about a different approach. And suddenly, all that beautiful internal motivation, that fire that was burning purely for you, starts to become about external validation again. You are no longer running for your own freedom. You are running for likes. You are no longer building for your own future. You are building for an audience. And the moment your progress becomes a performance, something essential about it changes. There is also this, and this is something that very few people will tell you. There are people in your life who are genuinely, deeply uncomfortable with your growth. Not because they are evil, but because your growth holds up a mirror to their own stagnation. When you start winning, when you start changing your life, transforming your health, building your business, healing from what broke you, stepping into who you were always meant to be, it becomes visible evidence that change is possible. And for someone who has been telling themselves that change is not possible, that evidence is deeply threatening. They will not always say anything directly, but they will question your methods. They will bring up the times you tried before and failed. They will predict your stumble before you take another step. They will shrink your vision with their words, usually in ways that sound reasonable, even caring on the surface. I just don't want you to get your hopes up. Are you sure this is the right time? Don't you think you should wait until... And the terrifying thing is, When you are in an early stage of momentum, those voices can derail you, not because they are right, but because you are not yet rooted deeply enough in your own transformation to be immune to doubt. You are still building the belief. You are still proving to yourself that this time is different. And external skepticism, landing on a not yet fully convinced heart, can stop you in your tracks. This is why the most transformational seasons of a person's life are often the quietest ones. It is why people who come out the other side of a radical transformation always say, I just kept my head down and worked. It is why the butterfly does not announce that it is becoming. It goes into the cocoon, it becomes unrecognizable. It endures the process. And then one day, without warning, without a build-up, without a press release, it emerges. And everyone sees the result. Not the struggle, not the half-formed version, the result. Let your progress be the secret that powers your journey. Let the work you do in private become the miracle that surprises people in public. Let the days and weeks and months of quiet, consistent, invisible effort compound into something so undeniable that when it finally becomes visible, no one can argue with it, no one can minimize it, no one can take credit for it. No one can say they saw it coming because you gave no one the chance to predict it. You just appeared, transformed, whole, unstoppable. And here is what else happens when you protect your progress. In this way, you develop a relationship with yourself that is unlike anything you have ever had before. When you are not performing your journey for an audience, when you are not checking how many people responded to your latest update, when the only feedback you are listening to is the voice in your heart and the voice of God, you start to actually hear yourself. You start to know yourself at a depth that is only possible in the quiet. You start to trust your own instincts. You start to believe in your own judgment. You stop needing someone else to confirm what you already know in your bones to be true. And that kind of self-knowledge, that kind of self-trust, is the foundation on which all real, lasting success is built. Now, I want to bring all three of these things together because I do not want you to walk away from this speech with a list of rules. I want you to walk away with a revelation. The reason these three things, your next move, your pain, and your progress, need to be kept private is not just strategic, it is spiritual. Every single one of them represents a part of your life that is in the process of becoming. Your next move is becoming your future. Your pain is becoming your purpose. Your progress is becoming your testimony. And things that are in the process of becoming are vulnerable. They are not yet fully formed. They are not yet strong enough to withstand every wind and every storm that other people's words, intentions, and energies can bring. Think about how God works. Think about how He operates. He does not announce every miracle before He performs it. He does not take a survey to see how people feel about what He is planning. He works in seasons. He works in processes. He works in the hidden places. He prepares people in the desert before He places them on the stage. He builds the character before He gives the platform. He does the deep, invisible work of transformation in private, in the quiet, in the in-between, and then in His time, He brings it into the light. And when He does, it is glorious and it is unshakable because it was built in secret on a foundation that nobody could tamper with. This is the model, this is the blueprint, and you have access to it. There is a particular kind of person that God is trying to build in this generation. Not a person who is loud before they are ready. Not a person who performs their journey for approval. Not a person whose confidence is borrowed from the validation of strangers on the internet. God is building a person who is rooted. A person who is quiet in spirit but powerful in action. A person who does not need the applause to keep going because they have found within themselves and within their relationship with God a source of motivation that is inexhaustible. A person who has learned the discipline of silence, the grace of patience, and the power of showing up every single day for a dream that no one else can see yet. That person is you. That is who you are becoming. And I need you to believe that. Because the world is full of people who gave up in the middle of their transformation. People who were so close, so painfully, beautifully close to the breakthrough, but who could not find the strength to take the next step. And most of the time, when you trace it back, you find that somewhere along the way, they stopped protecting what mattered most. They let the wrong voices in. They shared their plans too early and lost the momentum. They handed their pain to someone who dropped it. They celebrated their progress publicly before it was established privately, and when the opinions of other people soured it, they could not find the will to keep going. You are not going to be that person. Not anymore. From this day forward, you are going to be different. Not just in what you do, but in how you carry yourself. You are going to walk with a quiet kind of confidence that unsettles the room. You are going to move with a purpose that people can sense but cannot quite name. You are going to build something in the hidden place, something consistent, something disciplined, something real, and you are going to trust the process with a level of faith that you have never accessed before. You are going to stop needing people to believe in you before you believe in yourself. You are going to stop waiting for permission. You are going to stop announcing and start arriving. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, people are going to look at your life and ask you how. They are going to want to know the secret. They are going to ask what changed. And you will smile because you will know. You will know that the answer is simpler and more profound than they ever expected. You kept the right things private. You protected what was sacred. You did the work in the silence. You trusted the process in the dark. And when the light came, it came not just for you, it came as a beacon for everyone around you who needed to believe that it was still possible, that dreams still come true, that pain still transforms into purpose, that God still makes a way where there was no way. Your silence was not weakness, it was warfare. Your quiet was not emptiness, it was preparation. Your hiddenness was not absence, it was the cocoon. And now you are ready to emerge. So here is my call to you. Right now, today, in this moment, take out a piece of paper or open the notes on your phone. Write down 3 things. The next move you have been sharing with too many people, the one that loses energy every time you talk about it instead of doing it. The pain you have been handing to people who are not equipped to carry it, the wound that needs to go to God first. And then to one trusted, proven person who loves you well. And the progress you have been performing for an audience instead of building for your own soul, the growth that needs to happen in private before it is ready to be seen. Write them down and then make a commitment to yourself, to your future, and to the God who planted those dreams inside of you in the first place, that from this day you will protect what is sacred, you will guard what is growing, you will choose silence over noise, depth over performance, and patient, disciplined, private work over loud, premature, unrooted announcement. Subscribe to this channel because this is just the beginning of what we are going to build together on Fearless Journey. Every week, we are going to come back to this space with a kind of truth that the world is too comfortable and too distracted to say out loud. We are going to talk about fear and faith, about failure and resilience, about the things that break us, and the God who rebuilds us into something greater. We are going to be real here. We are going to be honest here, and we are going to win here together. Share this speech with someone who needs it today, not to prove a point to them, but because somewhere in your life there is a person who is right on the edge of giving up. A person who has been sharing too much, trusting the wrong people, and wondering why their dreams keep losing momentum before they take flight. Send this to them. Be the reason they stay. Be the reason they protect what is sacred. Be the reason they keep going in the silence, in the dark, in the in-between, until the light comes. Because it will come. For them, for you, for all of us who are willing to do the invisible work that produces the impossible results. Welcome to the Fearless Journey. The best chapter of your life starts right now.